What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the feed. This is the podcast for the automotive professional at every level, where we dig deep, we get real, and we uncover some stories that shape us. Today, I've got a good story for you. My guest is considered one of the original car dealership guys, aka the Sultan of Sales, the Maestro of Motors, a vehicular visionary, if you will. He's seen it all in the car game, and he started from the bottom. Now it's here. From hustling the showroom floor to climbing the ladder rung by rung. From finance to every part of sales, pre-owned, he's mastered every aspect of the dealership, and he's a walking, talking encyclopedia of automotive knowledge. But here's the deal. He's got a big heart. He understands that it's not just about the cars, it's about the people. Building relationships, creating connections, making sure every customer and employee feels valued and respected. That's the foundation of his own dealerships, the Feel Good Auto Group. I'll let him get into that a little bit, but I'll leave this with you. Of all the dealerships, there's 4 of them. They make it into the top 10 list nationwide on a regular basis. So strap in, friends. Today we're talking about service to sales, and we're going to demystify the process. We're going to be inspired by the knowledge of none other than Bryan Armstrong. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. That was a flattering. I was interested to meet that guy. He sounds kind of cool. So, yeah.
Well, we are happy to have you on the show. Bryan is the executive director of eCommerce at the Feel Good Auto Group. Now, I want to give you the pleasure to introduce us to the Feel Good Auto Group and some of those accolades I mentioned earlier, and then touch on that philosophy that we're talking about offline.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm happy to do it. Feel Good Auto Group was started really as a vision and a single point little store in South Jordan, Utah with VW Southtown, dealer principal Tom Watkins, great guy, just absolutely asked for a better owner to just sit there. But he brought in somebody who's near and dear to me, and that's Jeff Davis, and then another advisor, David Ibarra, who Ibarra Burrito Group. You should look it up if you don't see it. But I'm telling you what, they really masterminded this whole concept, and I found myself gravitating towards them to be able, because they believe, like I do, that if you treat people right and you focus on people and process, that success will come. And so as just benchmarks of that success, and I joined them in 2011, but we'd sold 138 cars total new and used the month before, and by 2013 we had risen up to top 5 in the nation, and actually took the #1 new car dealer in the state of Utah that month. And this is in Larry H. Miller's backyard. In fact, it beat out a Toyota point. It's the first time in the history of the U.S. that a single point VW store had ever been #1 new car dealer in any market. And so due to that, Volkswagen came to us and said, hey, you know what, open up another point. And Jeff Davis was able to become the dealer principal of that with Tom, and to be able to open up Volkswagen of Lee Summit just outside of Kansas City, Missouri. And that happened in December of 2014, and
shout out to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Go Chiefs.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful market, and be careful. I've been a diehard Seattle Seahawks fan since 1976, the first year that they entered the league. So
we understand.
Anyhow, that's we won't go there. If nothing else, we both hate the Broncos, so that's a good thing, right? Anyhow. The cool thing is that by 2018, Volkswagen Lee Summit was the #1 new car dealer in their market. Second time that it repeats itself. And so it was kind of cool to be able to look at things. And one of our philosophies at the Feel Good Group is to just be able to say, okay, the better you serve your employees, the better they're able to serve your guests. And a lot of times we have a different philosophy about peeling back the curtain and trying to be transparency. We were trying to be transparent before it was a buzzword. And so I think that is one of the keys to our success. But Then in 2019, again, we were able to expand and get the 2 stores down in the Houston market, Volkswagen Clear Lake and VW Cypress. And they were very underperforming, owned by a great big public group. And lo and behold, we were able to take them up number 1 and 2 stores in the region right now, and top 10. So all 4 stores are in the top 10 volume wise for Volkswagen. All 4 stores are multiple time Wolfsburg Crest Award winners. All 4 stores collectively are the number 1 volume group for Volkswagen nationally. So we're very, very proud of the things that we've been able to accomplish. And I'd like to say that we've done it largely by serving our customers well and serving our sales staff well. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that. It sounds like if you add another store, you're probably going to make the top of that region, wherever that one is too. That's just the way the machine is built now. But today we're going to talk about the service drive and selling on the service drive. It's been a mystical moving target to implement a process that sticks. We understand that. But today I want to talk about some things that as an automotive business we can think about, because we all know the revenue that's out there for us and all the other parts of the dealership that it can impact. Whether we're trying to acquire vehicles, we're trying to keep customers satisfied and really get a sense of that retention, or we're literally just trying to drive more business in the service drive. There's layers of strategy that we can talk about. And to do that, I have another special guest. We're going to bring on Mr. Nick Cummins. He is a fellow Auto Alert team member. And I asked him what his role was, just so I got it right. And quote, let me get this right. Let me blow it up on my screen. I'm just an account manager. Bryan, is Nick just an account manager?
No, Nick's a lot more than that. Nick, that's why earlier before the podcast, Nick was actually in my stores. And it's not unknown. We have, strategy meetings frequently and talk, because here's the thing. I've always believed that, you were very kind in your introduction, but one of the things that I've thought is that I have my own blind spots. And so I don't want people to surround myself with people that come in and say, oh, you're the best, you're doing great, wow, just hats off. I want people to come in and tell me where I suck. I mean, that's, Jeff has had a saying for a long time that you only suck if you think you're better than you really are. And that's the true definition of stagnation in our industry. We've got these archaic ideas that were fomented, 20 years ago, and we somehow think that our customers nowadays are dumber than us, are going to believe the ad copy that we wouldn't believe, but that it sounds good, and we think somehow that telling people, oh, we're number 1, we're the largest volume, you can trust us, is somehow going to allay their fears. And it's not. Nobody cares. If that really mattered, that you're family owned and that you're the number 1 volume person, there'd be 1 store and it would be called Walmart, and that's it. And that's, there'd be no competition. There are niches and there are these little areas to improve in every process and every point of the dealership, but it won't come from an idea from 20 years ago that we can continue to BS our customers. So again, like I said, the key to our success, peeling back those levels of transparency and being able to be a little more upfront, because only then will people who are your client base already actually have the trust. They'll actually start believing you when you reach out, but you got to be vulnerable, and it won't come overnight. It is a process, and it's scarce.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot about process, because with this whole selling on a service drive, or service to sales, as we like to say, it is now a blanket industry term. We know what we're talking about. How can I make that side of the business make more money for me, but also keep those customers coming back, sell those customers new cars, acquire the inventory that's readily available. Dealers, I'm speaking to you. If you're not thinking about it this way, which there's no possible way you're not thinking about it, there is a way to create an additional revenue stream on the service drive. And it's not just about selling more service business. You can acquire the cars you need and you can game the system. Now, I'm sitting on here with two gamers, and we're going to talk through that. So my first question is on the nose. Why is it even important to have a process for selling in the service drive? Bryan, I'm going to throw this one your way, and we'll get to you after this, Nate.
If you don't have a process, then number one, it's not going to be consistent. And that drive, those customers are coming in once a year, maybe twice a year max. And and then you look at the defection after the warranty claim is over when we don't see them anymore. And so you really only got a limited window from the very beginning to start to build that relationship. And that relationship isn't going to carry over from sales. They will give you a little bit of leeway because of your sales experience, but it's your service experience that is 100% going to drive that retention. Now, here's the thing. If all the messaging that you send your customers always revolves around selling them another car, game over. You lost. You lost already. In fact, they will start blocking your calls. They will start calling and complaining. They will start defecting to other dealerships just to not be bothered with something that is unknown, scary, and often intimidating. So here's the deal: if you don't have it, you'll lose the money. But if you do have it, then you can inspect it, and it's not just left up to a client advisor who's going to call randomly when he needs an appointment or he needs a sale or it's the end of the month or whatever, and going to overpromise the crap out of somebody or hit him with some archaic dialogue that says, hey, I have a customer that wants exactly your car, Mr. Customer, that I don't know what conditions it's in. I don't know how many miles are on it. I don't know even what color it is. But no, trust me, I really have somebody that wants that one and only that one. It's ridiculous. And in fact, some of the scripts that were even they pop up in front of them, they're going to read them and they sound dumb. They sound stupid. So, just to prove I'm not a company, the best thing you can do to yourself is, you know what? Hide your scripts. You can do it in the settings. Hide the scripts. You want to say stuff, hide it from them.
Yeah. And people can snuff that out. We are trained now to hear the dog whistles of, okay, this is not going to be a profitable call. I don't know you. Whatever you're saying, I can see that you're reading. You don't know me. You hit it on the head. The exact customer wants that exact car. We've all been there. Now, Nick, from your experience, when you're working with dealers, especially Bryan's stores, what is the conversation when you're going out to the service shop? Because I think that's probably one of the flaws. It's not that we don't want to work it. It's not that we don't want to go out there. We don't know what to say, or we're scared of what might be said.
Right. So, without a doubt.
Well, it's so much more simple than what the average salesperson would assume it would be. And it all begins and ends with that customer. And you have to look at it. You are doing this customer a favor simply by sharing with them information. And the fact of the matter is the customers that we being Auto Alert, the customers that we're going to put in front of a salesperson, it's not random, and we're not pulling names out of a hat. We are putting customers in front of a salesperson that happen to meet a certain set of criteria to where both that customer and the dealership are going to benefit from a potential deal. So simply put, if Charles, you're my customer and you happen to be in for service and you happen to meet a certain set of criteria to where you're going to benefit from me tapping you on the shoulder, it's as simple as that. Charles, how are you? Thank you for coming in to see us. How's everything going? Fantastic. Hey, the reason that I'm coming out to greet you today is we're going to have 80, 100 customers come through service today. A couple of names may come across my desk today. You were that name that came across my desk. Let me share with you why. And then I can give them that information. More often than not, it's going to be a trade keys situation. where I could potentially upgrade you to a newer vehicle, keeping your payment roughly the same. And guess what? It's with nothing out of pocket. Given that, does it make sense for us to explore options? And then just take it from there. It's really that simple. And it's a matter of retaining our sales customers, retaining our service customers, and just keeping that relationship going. But it's always a non-aggressive approach, and it's always doing that customer a favor. When I bought my last car, and this was just a matter of 7, 8 months ago, I told my car salesman, I said, if I do not hear from you in around 18 months, letting me know that I'm in that position upgrade, I'm going to be mad and I'm going to come looking for you because you're doing me a favor by giving me that information. I'm going to buy a car. I just need you to let me know when it's time.
Absolutely. I'm going
And
to
if
throw
you
a
look
stat
at it,
out
if
for
I
you
get
guys.
you,
Go ahead. Oh,
well,
well,
I was just
to
to say,
for you. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Sorry,
No, you
Charles.
hang
All
up.
I was going to say, yeah, you hang up. That's right. The only thing I was going to say is in modern times, we're buyers and we're conditioned to continually, especially with technology, to upgrade. Whenever there's the latest and greatest, we're conditioned to want to upgrade, and vehicles are no different. So it's imperative that our sales guys know what to say, when to say it, and it's just a simple matter of getting them in front of that right person at the right time.
Yeah. Well, and the stat I was going to read is really just about the group of customers that make up a lot of the service drive. And these are customers that already have done business with. They're existing customers. Now, the crazy thing is, according to Zippa, existing customers are 50% more likely to try new products and spend 31% more compared to somebody off the street. You haven't dealt with this person. This just might be a lead that just came in. They're not a part of your database yet. So it behooves us to take care of those customers that have already said yes, especially if they're in the back of the house. They trust us enough to continue to come back. Now, Bryan, I know you put a lot of strategy into not only when you send a salesperson out there, but the conversations that you kind of curate. You ushered a certain group of people into the service drive before the conversation even started. And then you get to tell the sales team, this is what's back there. Which type of conversation would you like to have today?
Okay, so the best thing about a data mining tool or retention tool such as Auto Alert is just that. So we think about it differently. You find out what you want to say, and then use the data to find who to say it to. So the very first thing, and a lot of times people will go through it and approach it the opposite way, and they'll say, well, everybody that's coming through, we're going to hit them with this. Oh, we'd really like to buy your car. If I could pay you more than market value, would you sell it to us and upgrade? Would you trade it into me? No, nobody believes that. So start reverse engineer it back from the very beginning and say, okay, why would it make sense to me, the dealer, why would it make sense for me to buy a car from you, Charles? Why? Well, here's the deal. Okay, if I'm a VW brand, how long is my bumper to bumper warranty? It's 40 or 50,000 miles. The average used car shopper isn't going to know that. They're searching for cars with less than 36,000 miles on it because they want to buy a used car that's still under bumper to bumper warranty. So therefore, if I can obtain your car while it is below that threshold, then I get to surprise that next customer with the fact that no, they don't just have 1 year left, they have multiple years of comprehensive warranty left. So there's a value in that to me as a dealer to be able to have that lower mileage car on my lot. Here's number two. It's easier for me to sell that one owner car than it is one from the auction where that history is a mystery. And I'll get the Carfax and I'll get it back to my shop. And then I'll have to go through it, peel back the curtain and say, okay, what does it have? What does it need for reconditioning? I know how you've treated it. I know what the challenges are, and I know that I can fix it cheaper than you, or that I'm not going to have to fix it, and I'm willing to pass that along to you. Number three, if I sit there and as a business, I need to make money on a sell, here's the deal. I don't need to make the money on both ends of the sale. I'll be patient for mine and say, I'll delay my potential profit until I sell your used car, meaning whether we go wholesale to wholesale or retail to retail, it's just about a difference figure. And if I could make the numbers work in your favor, would you consider selling to us and upgrading to something new? Now there's power in verbiage. There's power in words. Because when we trade, we get less for our cars. But when we sell, we get more. So when I ask you to sell me your car, I'm already telling you that I am going to pay you more. When I tell you to upgrade you, I'm saying I'm going to give you something better than what you have, because that's the very definition of the word. So when you can sit there and put all of that together and be able to coach through the salespeople to that customer that says, okay, this is what's in it for me. And this is what I mean by transparency. This is what's in it for me. This is why it would make sense for me to buy your car. This is not a sales pitch. This is a customer service call, so that I can say, hey, there is a situation here that this data has alerted me to that maybe would benefit both of us. This is how I'm going to benefit. You're going to benefit because you get into something newer, nicer, to reset your warranty, reset your free maintenance, reset everything, and upgrade your car. So when we talk about implementing a process, the first process is defining, what we're going to say, when the customer says yes, what we're going to say when the customer says no, and then how we leave it off. Because Charles, even if you tell me no, I'm going to sit there and say, okay, no problem. What's the lowest APR that I have available right now? It's 0%. What is the longest I can go? 45 days without a payment, which takes me into January of 2025. If I'm buying out your car before the end of the year at the model year end clearance, I've got additional savings. So if you were to tell me no, Charles, the conversation isn't going to be, well, what if I could, what would you? It's not going to involve over promising. It's going to be very simple and say, hey, you know what? No problem. It's just that with rates as low as 0%, and you know what? The extraordinary end of year savings and additional trade monies that we're given right now, I had a lot of customers just like you taking advantage of upgrading their car and not having any payments till next year. Didn't want you to miss out. By the way, when you do upgrade next time around, are you going to go bigger, smaller, same size? What you thinking? Now, because I know that you're already in that defensive state of mind, and you're saying, by putting out those type of things, say, hey, no problem, and taking that pressure away and giving you multiple benefits of consideration before I softly circle back around, then I'm able to say, okay, hey, there's enough here that we should at least have a research day. And as Nick said, hey, we'll get together. If the numbers make sense, great. Many customers prefer to save time by swapping keys rather than waiting for their oil change. Ha ha ha. And if they don't, then you know what? No harm, no foul. At least you know what you're saying yes or no to. Could I help with that? Would you allow me to do that for you? And again, so having this customer servitude, that servitude selling mentality, rather than they're going to be trapped. They're going to be in my service drive. This is a guaranteed appointment. I better pounce on them when we come in. You'll never win with that mentality, and you'll never win unless you're willing to say, okay, this is why I'd want to do it. But
so let's talk about how you leverage Auto Alert to help set those conversations up, because I can tell that this is how you coach your team. But between the different things that you're able to access in Auto Alert with the data mining and being able to filter through certain things and drive certain types of business to Service Drive, and the team members that you have doing it, both of you kind of give me the lay of the land of how this process takes shape once you have all those details out of the tool.
Okay. For me, it starts 3 days before. There's two different categories that I absolutely focus on in service sales. So one is on the customer pay. And these are customers that are not having to come in pocket in addition to a payment for their team. But I don't do that before the revenue is actually generated in the service drive. If you have a big budgetary expense coming up unexpectedly, most people are going to schedule it right around their paydays. So, and if I have a $400, $500, $800 repair bill that I wasn't expecting, in addition to a $300, $400, $500, $600 car payment, I am going to be strapped before the next payday. So I'm taking all of those service customers that were customer pay that paid, 10 to 13 days ago, just before that next payday, say, hey, I couldn't help to notice that, you know what? You actually take care of your car and you do it extremely well. Now, because you are that type of a customer, there's a lot of benefit in me wanting to buy that back. You're going to save me money and I can pass that along by paying you a little extra for it. That being said, if I were able to reimburse you up to $1,000 of that bill that you just paid, because you just did work that I would have otherwise had to do, would you consider selling me back your car and upgrading to something else? So I'm alleviating a pain point and still not having them feel like they were taken advantage of because they just sunk money into their car to get it running again. And the take rate on it is surprisingly high because they're not faced with all these things. And now all of a sudden they'll say, okay, wait, if I could get that money back and have a new car and be able to not have a payment for a month or two, man, that would really help. And they're more open to that conversation. So focusing on customer pay 10 to 13 days after it's happened is absolutely a very overlooked probably bucket.
So who makes that engagement in your stores? And Nick, I know you just talked to all of them. Who's making that call? Or is it a series of calls? Are you sending out a list? How does it work?
We drill it down by the thing. It's a little manual. It's a little process, but my BDMs, my business development managers, will go through the CP and find the ROs that the customers are coming out of pocket on, and they'll find there's not a ton of them, so it's not really hard to do.
So they're going to see them right away anyway. These are the ones. We make those calls. We set that appointment. Now, Nick, you were just in the stores. When they were working through some of these processes, what are some of the other things that you saw that was kind of a go-to?
So customer engagement's always key. Every store, it's going to be subjective with the number of opportunities at a given rooftop. But the one thing, the common thread between all stores is you want to begin your day with the customers that already have you on their radar and give them that extra little nudge that they are looking for to come into store. So the direct answer to your question, Charles, there's two places that are my favorite spots, and Bryan's team was on top of these. I didn't even have to show them where they were, which was no surprise. But the first spot is the customer engagement button, which is right up the top, our fidget spinner. And of course, as you likely know if you're watching, if you don't know now, you will. What you are going to find in there are the customers that have been most recently engaged with your store, whether it be with your dealer sites, your service drive, emails, text messages, marketing campaigns, geo alerts, so on and so forth. But those activities are going to be within the last 3 days. So we could begin hypothetically with a list of customers that are in a given position, and that list may be 1,200 people long. That's a big elephant to eat one bite at a time. Or we could begin our day with those customers that are already checking us out. Maybe they're shopping on our website for vehicles. Maybe they are reading text messages, emails we've sent out. Maybe they're engaging with marketing, so on and so forth. Let's give them that extra nudge. So that's the first place. The second place, which is one of our most unsung features, is the priority opportunities dashboard. And when you click on that, that is your customer engagement button, just with a little extra juice. It's going to show you the most recent 100 engagements in various categories that are easy to sift through. So the idea is to begin with those customers that already have you in front of mind and begin your conversations that way. Number one, you're going to be giving yourself the higher odds of converting that customer to a sales appointment. And number two, from a salesperson or sales manager's perspective, it's very important to get some early momentum that will carry on throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. And you're going to need those quick victories to get that momentum and that steam going. So set yourself up for success with those conversations early on, but customer engagement's always key.
Okay. So there's a lot to kind of unpack here, and we're gonna sum some of it up with the processes, but it seems like a lot of this leads down the same path. One, if you use the software and the tools that are given to you, you're gonna get somewhere, but you have to key up and tee up the right conversation. Now, Bryan, between you starting ahead of time and looking at the customer pay, and then other strategies of going into who's most engaged right now, and also looking at me right now or attached to my service drive, how do we farm this out on a daily basis? I know we have monster BDCs in the Feel Good Auto Group. Are they the drivers of the store when it comes to sending people out to the service drive to have pointed conversations?
So it's funny to me because and Nick was just in my store. Everybody talks about, the BDCs, the BDCs. I'll tell you a dirty secret, but we don't have BDCs. We run fully integrated floors. My salesmen rotate up into the BDC to be able to have that extra opportunity. And ironically, once you can really convert them into that's where their living can be made, they will fight to be there. They will fight to be there because then they know what they have coming in. They know who they're going to talk to. And especially with the younger generation, they absolutely feel more empowered and confident in approaching that customer. So when you talk about BDCs, now there's nothing wrong with it. Here's the thing. How many times for those stores that run traditional BDCs, how many times does the BDC get held accountable for overpromising the customer? And this is what I mean by the transparency. Now, let me take you down one more fun little pathway, because we found that customers that are 2 to 3 years or less in their vehicle, those are your payment buyers, and they're gonna, if you approach them on the drive with a quote sheet saying, "Hey, if I could, would you?" and stuff, you're probably gonna have success with that because that's all they care about. Yeah, if my payment stayed the same and the color changed, I'd be happy. But where we really want to focus is, that sweet spot of those 2017 to 2021 cars that are, 3 years to 8 years old, less than 100,000 miles and things like that. So what are the pain points that keep those customers from talking to us or wanting to buy a car? And that's because of two things that we recognized early on. Number one, most people in that instance are not interested in upgrading to the exact same car as they have. Okay, that's not an upgrade. That's a replacement, replacing one payment for another. And that's not that customer's end game. That customer's end game is, hey, my next car is going to be newer, nicer, shinier, bigger, whatever. It's going to do something for me that this car does not. So therefore, those customers are the ones that 3 days prior to their service appointment, and there's a template for this, but we go through and we pick one step better car than what they currently have. So if you've got a Jetta, I'm going to send you a bid sheet on a Taos saying, "Hey, I'm your portfolio manager here at Feel Good Auto Group. I was looking through things noticed, I don't know if you thought about replacing your car in the last little while, but I took the liberty of putting some numbers together and shot it over to you. Regardless of whether you are or not, I'd love to be able to put a face to the name when you come in. Please ask me so I can get you. By the way, if maybe the Taos isn't your cup of tea next time around, but you do want to consider something else, let me know. I'll make the process just as easy." If I can send that out 3 days prior, so I give them time to think of, many of the customers in the service drive will say, "Hey, is Charles around here? He sent me something I want to talk to him about." And you'd be shocked how many of them say, "Hey, I appreciate the towels, but what would it look like on a crossboard? What would it look like on an atlas? My family's grown. I need this. I got married. I got divorced. I've had, life-changing events. This car no longer fits my need, but I am scared to death to enter into a conversation because somewhere in my mind, that fear of the unknown, when I went through a popular 12-step program 30 odd years ago. We'll just leave it at that. But one of the things that always got to me was saying that we stay in our own shit. You can edit that later. And it might stay, but we know what it is, and at least
we're keeping it, Bryan.
That's fine. I don't care. And a lot of times, we as human beings, we fear change. We fear change to the unknown. So when I say be transparent, don't be scared to be transparent. That's what I mean. Now, Nick has worked with me in the back field of this to be able to get those settings so that my proposals are deals I can take to the bank. They are deals that I can cash, work, and I'll be within pennies. I'll be within $20. Dead serious. And I've tried it on lease. I've tried it on purchase. But the trick is picking an in-stock unit, not an average car, an actual in-stock unit so that your incentives are true, so that your things. Because all those AIS incentives that come through to Auto Alert, they're already loaded in there. All that black book value data is already loaded in there. I can set those parameters once I need. I'm not trying to spur a car sale at this point. I'm trying to spur a conversation at this point. By being willing to be that vulnerable with what it would look like, and find that the customer is less fearful to enter into it.
So taking that approach, how would you say that impacts, are you seeing the retention because you're talking to customers that way, you're training people to talk that way? And the second two-part question, are you seeing it in the customers? You're seeing it change the disposition and people are actually appreciating that. How does that impact employee retention? Because Nick hit me to a little secret. People don't really leave the Feel Good Auto Group. Like once they work there, they just work there. So how's this philosophy impacting all of that?
So the cool thing is that Auto Alert has, every CRM in the world, and I use one that is, a good one. I like it. But I will tell you that when you reassign leads, when people do leave, and a lot of times unknowingly, so somebody calls in on a phone up, just has a question, that lead gets switched to somebody else. Now it's just switched over the sold customer as well. In Auto Alert, they can filter out their sold database to be able to say, show me everybody that I sold, so that I can work on that retention. They're talking to people they already know, that already know them. And so now they're that much more confident in bringing. And when I give them permission to not be fearful in the conversation, to be able to be open with the data, and let them work a deal sheet, let them, pass out that information, then they're saying, okay, whoa. And then they get excited because they say, this is a car deal. This is a car deal. And I'm doing my customer a favor by letting them know. And I've even heard them say on the phone, listen, I didn't want to bug you, but you know what? Look, if I had a couple $1,000 sitting in my garage and somebody didn't tell me about it, I'd be pissed. So I'd rather have that conversation going on because the rapport is already built and that retention's easy. Can you quantify it? Well, I would say that between these 4 stores, I just looked at the reports, 371 units out of Auto Alert last month.
Sure.
That's a hefty amount. And if I look on just the service drive, you know what, and I can sit and say that 20 to 30 of these per store came from just those service templates that I sent out, just that thing. And then you look at the alert miner, which is me and these guys teaching them how to search for themselves with Nick's help. This is how you find that engaged opportunity. This is how you find these geo alerts, people that are out shopping. This is giving them the confidence, say, okay, this is what you're going to say to this type of customer. Now, this is the tool you need to find that customer to say it to. This is what you say if the customer says yes. This is what you say if customer says no. And this is the message you're going to leave. Hey, I was looking over your profile. You know what? Give me a call before you make your next payment. I have some stuff I think you're going to want to know. That message gets returned.
Yeah.
So anyway,
so I know we gotta round the corner here. We gotta wrap some things up. So I got two-parter here. Nick, I want you to talk a little bit about the stores that you visited when you were working with the team members. I want you to tell Bryan what they were excited about and what their kind of go-to cream of the crop is. This is why I love getting to use Auto Alert. And then Bryan, I'm gonna have you finish the episode off telling dealers where they should start. Like what is the ABCs of approaching selling in the service truck? So Nick, let's tell Bryan about his team.
yeah, please
Okay.
do.
Fair enough. So yesterday I was in Volkswagen at Clear Lake. Today I was in Volkswagen Cypress. The thing that's interesting is I know what to expect with the feel good stores, and that's a very high bar. Even though that's the case, I'm still surprised when I visit them on site. And the one thing that is specifically unique to the Feel Good group is they have a culture of winning. When you go in there, to your question, Charles, the sales associates that I worked with, every single one of them, whether it was on the lower level or the upper level, everybody was busy working towards a car deal in one form or fashion. There was not a single person that was sitting down. Everybody was on their feet. When I was working with the guys operating the phones doing outreach, they all had they just had the eye of the tiger. I don't know how else to put it.
Was
They
it
were
Mamba
drilled in.
mentality?
Okay, so yes, now that you mention it, every wall, I should say, every feel good store has a wall dedicated to, let's just say, motivation, to put it simply. But since you mentioned the Mamba, Volkswagen Clear Lake has a Mamba wall that is dedicated to Kobe Bryant and motivational quotes. And it fits right in with the culture there at the store. But with respect to objectives, the common thread with the feel good stores, and this goes to that eye of the tiger I was talking about, or that Mamba mentality, they all know exactly. This also goes to what Bryan was saying, know what you're going to say and then find the people to say it to. Every single person that I sat with had a very specific directive in mind before I even started a conversation with them. They had questions for me, of course, and they were looking for tips, hints, that sort of thing. But before I sat down, they knew exactly what they were going to do with the next 15, 20 minutes of their lives. So it's very refreshing to see. You don't get to see that as often as you would like to. So it's not to sound cheesy, but it's been my privilege and honor to work with the Feel Good group in that regard. You don't see that. You don't see that often. So you got to show appreciation for it when you do.
All right, one more thing. What was their favorite part of the tool? Quick rapid fire.
Favorite part? I'll tell you what, the chum in the water is that Geo Alert. Geo Alert customer engagement. That's it. And I was
Geo
telling
Alert is
Bryan
people physically shopping at dealerships, meaning they've been to more than one store, and they are people you have sold to, but they're trying to buy from somebody else.
Yep.
They're in the ether. Bryan, what usually happens if somebody's visited a store more than once?
Well, the cool thing about this is, you know what? You've got to look at it, because a lot of times you will look at that profile and you'll say, no, we just sold them that car. We just did this. We just did that. Keep in mind that a lot of times we stop the conversation before it has a chance to develop. So if I'm calling you, I'm going to start off that conversation not with, hey, you know what? I got a tag that alert that you're out shopping for a car. Why aren't you telling me? No, I'm going to start with, hey, just out of curiosity, I called to make sure that you received our buyback offer. Knowing they probably did not because it wasn't sent. Okay. But I can sit here and say, oh my gosh, then I'm doubly glad I called. Just basically, I need good quality pre-owned inventory. If I could make the numbers work in your favor, any chance you'd sell me your car and upgrade to something new? When you tell me no, I love my Atlas because as a Volkswagen dealer, you automatically are going to ascribe to the car I sold you. But I say, okay, I know you were shopping, so I'm not willing to take that for an answer. I'm going to say, okay, no problem. Any chance there's any other cars in the household you'd consider selling me? I'm always looking for other inventory as well. And good grief, quality off-brand merchandise is really hard to obtain. Is there any other car you'd consider selling to me? Golly, what if you wouldn't want, if I were to buy that from you, would you replace it with one of the VW lineup, or would it be okay if I got you something that was maybe a little lightly loved with another manufacturer plaque on it that somebody else had taken that depreciation on for you and you swoop in and get all the value? Would that be okay?
Well, Brian, I was actually looking for a car for my kid, and where we've been out shopping. So we're having a conversation.
Yeah. Well, knowledge is power if it's employed, you know. So that's one of the things that Auto Alert does. It shows you where to fish, shows you how to, what to say, but you've got to be intentional in those actions, and you've got to map out the whole thing and reverse engineer it from the customer's standpoint, saying, why would they even want to believe me? You know, so, and really started off with a Servitude Selling, and then you tell your salespeople, hey, if you'll do this every day, this is the result you should expect. So,
right. So Brian, give them the ABCs. If a dealer hasn't figured out the best approach to implement that they can inspect on the service drive when we're trying to sell, what's the A, B, and C to get started? Any dealer, doesn't matter what you sell. If you sell cars, you can do this.
Does not matter what you have. Number one, look for your engagement. You can go to your service drive opportunity and you can filter by engage. These are the people that are already shopping for a car. To heck with the intenders, to heck with the people that in market or mileage alerts or anything else. No, look, fish where the fish are. You're not out there trying to drum up business. You're trying to fulfill business. So sort through first with the people that are engaged, because otherwise you're going to lose them. Okay. And then after you've done with that, look for people that have a unique proposition. And what I mean by that is if there's somebody that has you've got a model that was recently refreshed, that is the person that is going to want to upgrade to the newest and greatest, but also you can start that conversation with, hey, every time they change the body style, the lines on this car, I have some people come out of the woodwork say, man, I really want the old one. And you know what? I know where they make the new ones. I don't have any old ones. Maybe we could, you know what? Maybe this is a win-win position. So look at those. Look for people who have a little bit higher rate. One of the favorite calls to make, and one that we don't do, is sit there and look at the used cars that we sold 18 months ago, 15 to 18 months, and start off by just saying, hey, remember when? The easiest story to sell someone is the story they already bought. Okay? So remember when you bought that car, we told you that if you use this as the springboard to rebuild your situation, this is my favorite call to make. When I can save my customers money. Your name just popped up. When can we get together and look at your options? I'm not even going to talk about a car. So look at the people that are in higher rate. And by higher rate, I mean, we sold one last week to a lady that was just saying, yeah, actually, you know what? I'm an 800 credit score. There's no reason I should be paying 7%. Well, up until a year ago, 6 months ago even, that was an 800 credit score rate. So now I could say, hey, well, let's put you in a position where more of your hard-earned money is going to the car you want to drive rather than the note to the bank. And they'll upgrade, even if it's the same model year, the same thing, because now the rates are better. And you know what? I can bust them out of that. And now I've got a great program car. So Focus in on the people that are engaged and the people that you can instantly add value to their lives, and be willing to reach out with that servitude mentality, saying, hey, I'm calling because we once upon a time did business, and I want to continue the relationship. I want to continue the relationship by bringing value to you that you are unaware of.
Yeah, I like it. So there you have it. Those are your ABCs on how to get started selling on the service drive, isolating the customers that are engaged, the people with unique propositions. And for right now, everybody left here with a really high interest rate. You can have this conversation. They're coming to your service drive every single day. Or heck, why don't you invite them? Yeah. Bryan, Nick, thank you for stopping by the feed. It has been a pleasure, and that has been this month's episode. I will talk to both of you soon. Everybody else, till next time, take care.